All right. Well, here's a few news stories that I thought were interesting. Um, so, Russian hackers have now figured out a new technique to hide Windows malware by writing it in Linux and running it in a small virtual machine in Hyper-V. So, this is pretty good. Um, One thing that's not clear to me is how they get the virtual machine in Hyper-V to access data on the host, which must be the target, but they must be turning on file sharing or something like that. Anyway, it's effective for Windows machines that can use Hyper-V, and they point out if you want to defend from this, what you're going to have to do is watch out for activating Hyper-V. I don't think you'd want Hyper-V on most machines. It's their virtualization client, and a normal desktop machine doesn't run virtualization in an enterprise. Anyway, it's a cute trick. I didn't know this. Every time you fly, the airlines are selling your travel data to the government. One thing, now there's a book called The Rise of Surveillance Capitalism that came out years ago saying that everyone's going to make money by spying on you and selling your personal data to people on the internet. But I never understood why it's worth so much money. But there was an article recently about a guy that got a robot vacuum cleaner, and it was sending a map of his house up to the internet. And when he blocked it, it made them so mad they sent a kill code to kill his vacuum cleaner, the company that made it. So apparently that was a large amount of money to them. And so anyway, there's a way you can actually opt out of airlines selling your travel data to the government. One thing about that is apparently if they purchase the data, they're able to search that data without a search warrant, which sounds very strange legally to me. It doesn't seem to me like the application of the Fourth Amendment depends on how they got the data. But anyway, it's an interesting article. It's an interesting idea. You people that want enhanced privacy might want to go through this process to stop them from selling your airline travel data to the government. Usually in America, there is no way to stop people from selling your data. That only Europe has privacy laws. We don't have privacy laws here. And so yet another crypto exploit, putting money on the internet, made it easy to steal, and the entire government and military of North Korea is financed by stolen cryptocurrency. And this is the largest amount I've seen. They stole 100 million from a single protocol. So, of course, one thing to realize is when they say how much money it's worth, that is usually false. That is the paper value of the crypto tokens they stole. But if you try to sell them, the price will fall. So actually translating stolen cryptocurrency into real money is very difficult, like any other forms of money laundering. This is generally the case. If you steal something that's worth money, turning it into money is another very difficult activity, and you often have to settle for a small percentage of its actual worth. So DHS is going to take photographs of everybody, all non-citizens who enter and leave the country, and they're going to store those photographs for 75 years and use facial recognition on them. So this is very disturbing given how much facial recognition does not work and how much the government can do various abuses with this kind of data, which is why other things like TSA checkpoints always make a big deal of saying they're going to delete the photographs. So it's troubling. But they're going to do it, apparently. There used to be policies to prevent this. I don't think there's a law to prevent it, but there used to be policies to prevent it, just like there used to be legal restrictions requiring the government to keep various databases separate so it couldn't aggregate them. And Elon Musk's Doge stole them, bypassed security, and aggregated them. And that was almost certainly illegal, like essentially everything Doge did was wildly illegal. And if the Democrats gain power again, they can probably expect some of them to be prosecuted for that. So I've heard about this lawsuit for years, although I don't really understand it. Apparently, now I signed up for Prime right away, and it seems to me like it's given me good value, but apparently Amazon is accused of having tricked people into signing up for Prime with some kind of deceptive process. I never saw it, but apparently some people did sign up that way, and now you can get a refund of some of your money, adding up to $1.5 billion, so it must be quite a bit. Anyway, you might want to read this if you feel like you've been ripped off by Prime. You might be able to get some money back. And there's another weight loss pill. Now, you know about Ozempic and Mounjaro and the others. Those things really work and are apparently relatively safe. But there's a new one called Molecule, or one that is not sold in America, but it's being pushed in Russia and TikTok, and it promises rapid weight loss. To say you take this, you won't want to eat at all, and you'll lose weight like crazy, which is, of course, very bad for you, and it's turning out to have a lot of bad consequences. This is a dangerous drug that's not authorized in America at all, and but it's being sold in Russia, so it's a thing to be aware of. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes here on the illegal drug market if it hasn't already. And so everyone is moving into agentic AI, where an AI can take action on your behalf. And so Anthropic now lets Claude's code interpreter perform network requests. So Claude's allowed to, this is, I think, intended for code development. And so it's allowed to update your code, and it's allowed to export it to online sites like GitHub, so it can update the repository. So the question is, could that be abused? And what he found was he could redirect it to go to a different GitHub account, his GitHub account, instead of the developer's GitHub account, so he could steal secrets from your code and send them to an alien service on GitHub. And so that's the kind of thing that tends to happen. This is happening all the time. AIs are easily fooled into doing something they shouldn't. And if you give them access to a network, they're easily fooled into sending things to a wrong network path. And if you give them the ability to delete files, they're easily fooled into deleting the wrong files, and so on. So Russian, you probably know in America we've been blocking Chinese and Russian products. We've blocked Russian's Kaspersky. Can't be used on any government system. You can't put TikTok on any phone used for any government purpose or many large companies. You can't have Russian Huawei equipment anywhere. At least you can't buy new stuff. And I think all the government agencies had to replace all their old stuff. So more and more foreign devices and software are being blocked in America. There's now a proposal to block TP-Link, which is, I think, the number one source of routers in America because it's Chinese. So the Russians are doing the same thing. They're proposing to force all private companies to replace all foreign software. Now, that is going to be much more difficult for Russia than it is for America. In America, we actually have a lot of stuff made in America we could use. In Russia, I doubt that's true. So anyway, they're considering doing it in Russia. And in Thailand, I've been talking about this for a few weeks, there's been crackdown of the slave labor camps that are used to make fraudulent phone calls to America, to mostly pig butchering scams, where people will pretend to be in love with you or something in order to get you to invest money in a bogus crypto scheme, basically a way to steal your money. The people that are doing this are slaves, essentially. They were lied to and forced and coerced into moving into a foreign country, Myanmar, from wherever they came from, which I think is largely China. Then they impound their passport and they force them to work scamming people. However, what happened is the cops have been cracking down. They shut down some of these scam locations, and they shut down some of them, and people fled. And what they did was they fled into Thailand, and all they did there was get a house and immediately set up another scam compound. So apparently that's what they were used to doing, and now they got busted for just doing it again. So that's an interesting wrinkle on it, and it makes you feel less sympathetic to them. I mean, they were slave labor, forced to commit crimes, but as soon as they got free, they just tried to commit the same crimes again. So anyway, that's what happened. All right. And let's see that. I have enough time to go to another one. It is election day, of course. And if I were you, I'd go vote yes on Prop 50. I did it weeks ago by mail. But anyway, let's see. This one's probably interesting. You probably have heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is something a lot of teachers know. If you ask somebody how much they know about something, a person who actually knows about it will give you a modest answer. Like Einstein would often say, I don't know, to questions about physics, because he understands how much he doesn't know. Someone who knows very little will say they know a lot, because they don't understand what they don't know. So they think they know a lot. This is a general effect. The people that rate themselves highest in skill are usually the lower skilled people. The highly skilled people are aware of their limitations. And AI seems to create another version of this. They gave people a test where they're trying to do reasoning questions, and they let them use ChatGPT. And the people that used ChatGPT got a higher score, but when you asked them to estimate their score, they greatly overestimated their score. And it turns out that even people who were experienced at using large language models and should have known better would just ask every question once and believe the first answer, no follow-up questions, even though anybody that's used these things for a while should know that they have like a 20% error rate. So this is leading to what they say in the modern world. Instead of people estimating their own skill to be too high, they estimate the skill of AIs to be way too high. And this is in the OWASP top 10 security risks of large language models is over-reliance. I really think that it's number 8 risk. I really think it should be the number 2 risk. I think this is huge. People believe what chatbots tell them, when even then it's extremely easy to demonstrate that chatbots are often wrong. So that's another subtlety worth knowing in the security of chatbots. Anyway, let me stop the news.